My friends, what you're about to see now is the definitive and undeniable end of the era of Iranian denial. We are no longer talking about behind-the-scenes diplomatic negotiations at mahogany tables in Switzerland. We are talking about the application of pure brute engineering force that melts mountains. What I'm about to decode for you now is not an attack. It's the anatomy of a storm of steel in Operation Prime Upgrade, and how the artificial intelligence embedded in war machines is dismantling bolt by bolt the empire of terror in the Middle East. Imagine the scene in vivid detail. It's 4 in the morning, local time. There is absolute desert darkness covering the valleys and mountains of Iran. There is no diplomatic warning. There are no sirens sounding. There are no radar alarms sounding because before the deafening sound that shakes the ground warns of death's arrival, enemy communications have already been obliterated. The night sky is suddenly torn apart by the incandescent glow of afterburners. The famous afterburners of entire squadrons of F-35 and F-16 fighter jets tearing through the atmosphere. This is night 10. 10 consecutive nights. Precision strike on the target. Boom! And the Revolutionary Guard command centers turning to ashes. Ballistic missiles exploding inside their own hidden launch tubes. And Tehran's military logistics network being surgically amputated by the American armed forces. The United States Central Command CENTCOM isn't sending messages on Twitter. They're performing a lobotomy on the enemy's arsenal. And the invisible star of this sleek technological sacre is the F-35 Lightning II. Here we need to apply our high-impact translation rules so you can understand the military chess game. The F-35 is not just a fast plane that shoots. The F-35 is an undetectable flying supercomputer. An artificial intelligence server with wings costing more than $80 million per unit. With a brutal takeoff weight, it operates like an invisible leviathan. The F-35's panel has sensors so absurdly advanced that they allow the pilot to literally see through the aircraft's own fuselage, aiming directly at the target on the ground. This means that while Iranian generals sleep, swearing that their mobile missiles and radars supplied by China and Russia are undetectable, in the pitch-black night, the F-35 has already mapped even the temperature. The tire of their truck. They are destroying underground targets that Iran swore to the world were impossible to find. And to dismantle this decades-old military machine, the Pentagon didn't just bring a tactical hammer, they brought both the scalpel and the heavy sledgehammer. The American offensive used all 3 variants of the Invisible Predator. The F-35A, the conventional takeoff version, is the long-range hammer. It crosses the airspace at incredible speeds and with a service ceiling that puts it over 15,000 meters high, operating far above the stratosphere of regular combat. The F-35B, an anomaly of military physics with its vertical takeoff and landing capability, operates from smaller amphibious assault carriers, turning any point in the ocean into a stealth airbase. And the F-35C, the massive and heavy Navy version, was built with reinforced landing gear and colossal arresting hooks to land on supercarrier decks. Nuclear aircraft in the middle of storms, carrying an unparalleled load of lethal weaponry. And when we combine the invisible stealth of these machines with the F-16, the Wild Wizards, the stealth version, the death of the enemy defense system is pure mathematics. The F-16CJ is a fighter specifically designed for a suicide mission that combat aviation calls SED, Suppression of Enemy Air Defenses. This pilot's job is to fly into the web, provoke the enemy radar to turn on, and hunt it down. And at the exact moment the radar blinks on the monitor, the F-16 fires an anti-radiation missile directly at the enemy antenna. The F-35, operating in extreme stealth, reaches Mach 1.6, almost twice the speed of sound, out of visual range and beyond the reach of the overwhelming majority of obsolete radars. This means in practice that when the Iranian artillery officer hears the sound of the sonic boom in the air, he literally has only 5 seconds to pray before a 2,000-pound JDAM smart bomb, the equivalent of about 900 kilograms of pure high explosive, pierces through 15 meters of rock and concrete, melting the bunker ceiling and vaporizing absolutely everything that breathes inside. It's the instant decimation of billions of dollars invested in tunnels, but the tactical brilliance of this operation goes beyond stealth. The media doesn't tell you, but the backbone of this attack is the brutal connectivity of the American system. The United States deployed F-18 fighter jets launching the feared ALCM cruise missiles, air-launched cruise missiles. Just look at how absurd that is. These fighter jets fire missiles with warheads of 1,000 pounds, almost half a ton, from dozens of kilometers away, completely outside the danger envelope of Iranian missiles. The secret behind this lethal coordination isn't just in the planes but at sea. All this air power is connected in real time to the legendary Aegis combat system, on board the ships and destroyers of the Navy that operate the blockade. The Aegis system is like the brain of the operation, the perfect sixth player on a basketball team. It processes data from all the ships and shares live telemetry with the F-35, F-16 and F-18. It's force multiplication, absolute force. The pilot doesn't shoot blindly. He shoots with the shared vision of an entire naval fleet. And what is the reaction of the Empire of Terror when it realizes its infrastructure is being decimated? When their Revolutionary Guard headquarters are burning in flames in strategic cities like Tris, they go on state television, lie shamelessly and shoot at whatever they can. They activate the hybrid warfare protocol. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard went on TV to announce to their people that yes, they retaliated against the bombings. They claim to have fired volleys of retaliatory ballistic missiles and drones at United States positions in Kuwait, Jordan, and Bahrain, targeting radars. But then comes the break in the pattern, the bizarre irony that proves tactical desperation and economic sabotage. They proudly claimed, and pay attention to how they publicly claim to have destroyed Amazon's vital data center infrastructure in Bahrain. Yes, my friends, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard has formally declared war on Amazon and cloud computing. Why would Iran target corporate cloud servers? Because in modern hybrid warfare, the attack doesn't just aim to break the armor of tanks, it aims to break economies, the global corporate supply chain and infrastructure. They had already threatened to cut submarine fiber optic cables that are crucial for digitally isolating the West. They want to target the financial center, the capital market, and the global logistics data that are stored and routed on Amazon servers. Since they can't beat the F-35 in the sky, they try to shut down the world economy through the network, forcing the corporate sector to feel the pain. CENTCOM military intelligence's response to the declaration of war on the Iranian Amazon was laced with lethal, tactical, biting humor. The Pentagon didn't issue a note of condemnation. They released high-resolution images of the F-35s and F-16s launching missiles at the Revolutionary Guard bases. The visual message was clear. Iran thinks it can paralyze our global delivery logistics. CENTCOM just provided Ayatollah with an immediate and free upgrade to Prime service. It's express delivery in less than 24 hours. But the boxes weigh a ton and come straight down through the ceiling. The Prime upgrade operation crushed the threat. And how does Iran pay for all this? How does a country with an economy shattered by sanctions build thousands of bunkers and launch salvos of ballistic missiles? The dark secret lies in Asia. American commercial intelligence indicates that Iran brings in an impressive $500 million a day in steady oil revenue, flowing mainly and almost exclusively from China. This blood-stained money is the real black card of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. China finances Tehran's war machine, and Iran swipes the card buying drones and digging tunnels. But while Iran tries to destroy the global economy, Americans defend the world's lifeline. Few people know, but in recent months, CENTCOM's naval operation has already escorted the safe passage of 900 massive commercial vessels through the critical waters of the Strait, moving the equivalent of 450 million barrels of crude oil just since the month of May. They shielded the market against hysteria. And for you to understand the enormous weight of the economy and war narratives, I need a quick and decisive action from you right now. It's quick. Bureaucrats and the mainstream media abhor channels that reveal the real mechanisms of power, because our content melts away state-induced alienation. And I'm running for the IBEX Award in the political influencer category, and your vote there is our Tomahawk missile against the establishment. It's not vanity, it's our community's tactical intimidation of the system. Now I'm asking for your vote. It takes 30 seconds. The link is in the description and in the first pinned comment. And look, we moved up from the 44th position. Pay attention to how much power you have here on the platform. And now we're in first place to qualify for the national top 20. So, vote every day until next Tuesday so we can qualify for the next round. And if you're asking, can the situation get worse? Yes, it can. We are competing with Brazilian journalists who went to cry to mourn the Ayatollah's death in Iran. Only those who are friends of the regime can enter Iran, my friends. Now pay attention, because the diplomatic theater is collapsing. The psychology of the Iranian regime has been exposed to ridicule. On Iranian state television, they show highly edited videos of their new drones and combat vehicles. The regime flexes its muscles, points at the cameras, pretending to have brutal strength and unshakable stability in front of its own oppressed population. But if you think Iran is confident, proud, and ready for the final battle against the West, just wait until you see. The secret messages, the desperate diplomatic transcripts that were intercepted through intelligence channels. In the dark shadows of war, the Iranian leadership is literally begging in a state of systemic panic and diplomatic collapse, sending frantic messages to Qatar, Egypt, and Pakistan. They are begging on their knees for Qatar and Egypt to formally and immediately present a ceasefire proposal on behalf of Iran. The intercepted instruction was pathetic. Please make it look like the idea to stop the war was yours for world peace and not ours. On a scale from 0 to 10, rate that. And this network of diplomatic favors keeps dirty secrets. There is a dark alignment between those who support Iran and those who move around in Washington. In recent rounds, we watched in disbelief as the Prime Minister of Qatar turned his back and diplomatically snubbed the American Vice President Joe Vance in a clear sign of geopolitical disrespect. There are obscure and dark connections in this diplomatic network that Qatar tries to protect. The Iranians are begging for a pause because their vital communication infrastructure is being wiped out. And every time Iran is about to be destroyed, when the head of the snake is about to be cut off, Qatar comes up with a peace proposal. Pakistan shows up celebrating. Egypt calls for a ceasefire. CENTCOM is carrying out a policy of relentless decimation. For you to understand the weight of the word decimation, it's not just a strong adjective. It originates from the ruthless legions of the Roman Empire. When a troop retreated or failed, the commander would divide the men into groups of 10. He would randomly choose a soldier, whether the weakest or the strongest of the 10, and force the other 9 to brutally execute him, purging weakness and restoring terror and discipline within the unit. What the Pentagon is doing to the Revolutionary Guard is modern military decimation. Purge, burn, and crush Iran's ballistic machine every night, radar by radar, bunker by bunker. They beg for a 10-day ceasefire because they know their operational communications have completely collapsed under American fire. They want to buy vital time to breathe and reposition their mobile launchers. The trap is set. Will the Western world be weak enough to offer Iran an honorable way out or use it against us tomorrow? On this board, where human lives are on the line and supercomputers face off at Mach 1.6, war inevitably demands their ultimate sacrifice. Behind the intelligence monitors of the Aegis systems and the instrument panels of the $80 million F-35, there is the human factor of courage, blood, and flesh. We have 50,000 American military personnel deployed and operating in this hostile region at this very moment. And during this complex operation, the true human cost of the conflict came to light, and the Central Command paid solemn tributes. The Army confirmed the tragic loss and released the names of 2 of its heroic soldiers. Absolute national treasures sent to the front line. The first, Lieutenant Tyler James Fira, a brilliant young officer only 25 years old with a life full of promise, from the peaceful beaches of Waimparu, Hawaii. And Private Isabella Gonzalez, a warrior only 19 years old from Carrington, Texas. 2 young people in the prime of their lives who fell while carrying out their mission under the weight of retaliation from a regime focused only on hatred. Their blood was not shed in the desert in vain, and prayers are with their families. It is precisely the immeasurable loss of Lieutenant Fira and Private Gonzalez that shields the Pentagon against the false ceasefire proposals Iran is begging for. And as we turn the page on this tension, we need to look at the broader global picture toward the horizon of innovation, where we are not only witnessing the end of conventional warfare, but also the dark birth of the next generation of force multipliers. Ukraine and the American defense industrial complexes have just forged the future of tactics. Ukraine, operating under maximum survival pressure against Russia, has just added its absurd 43rd new drone system of the year to the battlefield. Their level of adaptation is frantic. They have put into operation the drone boat, a lethal unmanned vessel that stealthily sails to the enemy shore. And it lands firing a heavy 50 caliber automatic machine gun directly at the Russian trenches. But the real revolution goes by the name Thunder, developed by Andrew Industries. Imagine the scene: a pilot flying an advanced Apache helicopter, surrounded not by other human aircraft, but by a massive fleet of stealthy, autonomous, vertical takeoff drones. Thunder is the best wingman of all time. A human pilot coordinates and directs dozens of drones simultaneously as if they were wolves hunting in the sky. They go ahead of the helicopter, target enemy radars, and crash into them before the human pilot even enters the danger zone. The firepower of a single aircraft is instantly transformed into the firepower of an entire battalion, its strength multiplied by the algorithm. And the ultimate question, the final open loop that will define the Middle East in the next 72 hours is this: in the face of this multiplication of force and the pressure from lobbyists in Washington, will the White House give in to Qatar's pleas? Or will Operation Prime Upgrade continue, package after package, until the last radar of the Revolutionary Guard turns to sand in the desert, to finally prove to the algorithm who is the absolute elite that dominates the engineering of this ground war? Go down to the comments now and write down our tactical watchwords. Type the passwords that work as the ironclad verdict of our operation today: end of denial and multiplication of force. I repeat, end of denial and multiplication of force. Write down these 2 key phrases and claim your territory against mediocrity. Those who don't control their own narrative become hostages to their opponent, and in business, the rule is the same. Exactly the same. Today, the most valuable currency on the planet is people's attention. And that's why I'm recruiting 5 entrepreneurs or professionals who are the best at what they do but are invisible. What hurts the most is having an excellent business and nobody knowing you exist. While it seems like only silly dances or worthless memes go viral on social media, the game today is all about media, my friend. Your identity can't be outsourced. The owner needs to show his face and guide the vision of the business. The days are gone forever when you could just record with your phone any way you wanted, with no authority at all, and still make sales. Look at the case of CIMED, a pharmaceutical company, and Havan stores. They also became media companies, producing content. But it's not the agency that does this, it's the business owner. And to break out of the bubble, be recognized in your niche, and have an empire by forcing the algorithm to work for you, operating the machine. I get 50 million views every month on social media, all monetized in dollars. On August 16th, I'll be hosting a fully in-person intensive, face-to-face with me. It's not online, it's face-to-face in my studio in Curitiba, with my professional team. It will be a practical, exclusive meeting for only 10 people, but there are only 5 spots left. And I'll personally support, guide, and direct you as you build your authority so your business shows up professionally with a killer method. QR code on the screen now, secure link in the description and in the first pinned comment. But I need to be blunt about the numbers. There are only 5 spots left. When the last spot is taken, the steel door closes and that's it. You'll have to wait. So secure your spot immediately and bulletproof your communication. I'm sure you understand everything I'm saying, you just don't know how to put it into practice. And I have 2 fantastic series to recommend to you who are following me and keeping up with this whole story about the war against Iran. Yes, one of them is the series Tehran, the Mossad, the Israeli intelligence service. Israeli spies infiltrate the Iranian regime. And the other one is Homeland, right? It's also about the relationship between the CIA, and they're 2 fantastic series that put into context what's happening in the world today. And there on our series and movies channel with daily tips on what to watch on social media. No wasting time, no cults, no woke culture, no whining. You'll find a lot more disaster tips, dialogues on streaming services, and what to watch. And just have fun with your family. Link in the description, in the pinned comment, and in the card that will appear. Now subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave your like on the video because it takes a lot of work to make. Shield your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira and I'll see you in the next video. See you then. Yo.